Now, I could talk about the fact that the main Brexit politicians said that even if we voted to leave, we'd still stay within a system which means that anything made in this country is automatically legal across Europe. Also known as the single market, a system which Norway, a non-EU country, is also part of.
Absolutely nobody is talking about threatening our place in the single market.
Half this panel say, wouldn't it be terrible if we were like Norway and Switzerland? Really? They're rich, they're happy.
I'd vote to stay in the single market. I'm in favour of the single market. I want us to be able to trade freely with our European friends.
And now they're denying everything. But what I want to focus on right now is the stuff they said since 2016, which proves that the Brexit we're getting goes directly against what people wanted when they voted for it. For example, even Jacob Rees-Mogg, the most extreme and optimistic Brexiteer out there, says,
"We won't know the full economic consequences for a very long time."
Come on, we'll have an indication. We'll know whether there's been chaos. We'll know whether there have been job losses.
The overwhelming opportunity for Brexit is over the next 50 years.
And Nigel Farage says there's no price he wouldn't be willing to make you and your family pay for his ideology.
When I'm asked about, are we going to be richer or poorer with Brexit? Do you know what my answer is? What price freedom? What price liberty?
And in the face of clear evidence that Brexit would harm UK businesses, Boris Johnson had a very clear message.
And to all businesses, you may have heard that there's a four-letter word to describe what we Conservatives want to do to you. It has a single syllable. It is of Anglo-Saxon derivation.
Brexit was supposed to be a victory for small businesses against globalisation, but here's what Jacob Rees-Mogg had to say about how Dyson, a multinational corporation, is coping with Brexit against how other businesses are doing.
We heard Sir James Dyson on the radio earlier today. He was so positive about how his business is doing. Some businesses that for other reasons have not been doing well like to blame Brexit, but that's actually an excuse of poor management.
But what about the real problems that this country faces, the things that Brexit was supposed to solve? We all remember this the day after the referendum vote.
The £350 million a week we send to the EU, which we will no longer send to the EU, can you guarantee that's going to go to the NHS?
No, I can't, and I would never have made that claim.
17 million people have voted for leave.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people voted on the basis of that advert, but that was a huge part of the propaganda.
But wait, it gets better.
Brexit was never going to solve any of our domestic problems.
Then there's Daniel Hannan, one of the chairs of the Vote Leave campaign, which convinced millions that Brexit would actually protect our nationalised healthcare, is now running an organisation which is calling for American firms to be able to buy up parts of the NHS. They promised us that Brexit would make the NHS better, but what they've actually done is make it vulnerable to being taken over by American companies. And then there's the stuff we were told about how the EU supposedly forces completely uncontrolled immigration, whereas in fact...
Femi, in theory, you're right. In theory, under European treaties, there are restrictions that can be placed.
And what about the EU being a dictatorship that we had no control over and that Brexit was a way to take back control? Boris?
Because what you do is you lose all that British influence in Brussels. There's no Brit there anymore. There's no Brits in the European Court of Justice. There's no Brits in the European Parliament. There's no Brits in the Commission. We can't influence it anymore, but we're taking the rules and we're obeying the trade policy. That's not taking back control. That's losing control.
Now, one of the main issues regarding Brexit is the Good Friday Agreement, because if we leave the EU and have different rules to the Republic of Ireland, an EU country, that will create the need for checks on the Irish border, which breaks the Good Friday Agreement. That agreement put an end to what's called the Troubles, which was a period of violence, particularly in Northern Ireland, which resulted in 3,600 deaths. So the last thing we want is anything that looks like we're going back towards the Troubles, because that will be spitting in the face of everyone who lost their lives. Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Ireland would not be a free-for-all. It would be perfectly possible to continue with historic arrangements to ensure that there wasn't a great loophole in the way people could get into the UK. That there would be our ability, as we had during the Troubles, to have people inspected. But of course, for security reasons during the Troubles, we kept a very close eye on the border to try and stop gun running and things like that. It's not inconsistent to have a border that people can pass through, but you're keeping an eye on.
The people who reassured you about voting for Brexit are now telling you that it endangers our national security, means losing control over our laws, it won't solve our domestic problems, it won't make you richer, it'll actually cost you and your family money, it was based on lies about immigration that helps the corporate few, not the many. Is that the will of the people?